Hey, what's up? We're back, and this week we're going to be doing UFC Denver, the 25th anniversary of the UFC, so that's pretty cool. But first we're going to go back and go over UFC 230 real fast. And we once again hit the most confident pick and the parlay of the week, so we had a decent week, but there was a lot of upsets, and we were only 6-5-1 overall on the card as a whole. But like I said, we hit both the plays, which is pretty good. And the first fight of the night was Marcos Rogerio de Lima against Adam Vichoric. And, Rogerio de Lima, he didn't exactly do exactly what I thought. He had a more grappling-based approach, but he dominated Adam Vichoric, and he had a great win at heavyweight. And, it wasn't anything spectacular. It didn't blow the doors off, but that's a good entrance into that division. And, he could potentially be a factor. He was like 250 pounds. He was a lot bigger than Vichoric, even, who's been the more natural heavyweight over his career, so definitely doesn't have a size disadvantage in that weight class. And we'll see where he goes from here. And for Vichoric, that was a pretty, it's a loss that doesn't really do much in my opinion. He came on short notice. Don't think it really lowers his stock, but I don't think overall he's a very, I don't think he's going to be a fixture in the UFC for a long time. I'll just say it that way, I guess. And then up next we had Shane Burgos against Kurt Holobaugh, and this was a pretty fun fight, man. I picked Kurt Holobaugh to get the win here, and he kind of, was on his way to it, in my opinion. He was dominating. I wouldn't say dominating, but he was able to land a big hook on Shane Burgos, rocked him, dropped him, and, it was in the first round, and he was piecing him up with the boxing, and then he went on top. He tried to finish the fight, and Burgos caught a nasty armbar really fast. Props to Burgos to recover that quickly and catch the armbar, and, awesome win for Burgos. He came back after his first loss, and you saw how much he wanted that win. He's really happy about it, and we'll see if he can get a top 15 guy. And for Kurt Holobaugh, I really hope they give him another fight in the UFC. He fought a very tough guy in Shane Burgos, and he had a decent performance, so I hope he gets another fight. Maybe he gets a lower-level guy, see if he can get a win, and then build some confidence and fight the Shane Burgoses of the division again. So hopefully we'll be able to see that, and if not, I'm sure Kurt Holobaugh could probably work his way back up to the UFC again. But up next, you have Matt Frevola against Lando Venata, and this was a hell of a fight, man. I thought Lando Venata had a big striking advantage, and Frevola really improved in his striking, and he has a hell of a chin. I mean, the ability of this guy to eat shots is pretty crazy. I thought the first round, Venata definitely won the first round. I thought that it was close, but I thought that Lando dropped, Frevola, I'm sorry, I'm not Lando. I thought that Lando dropped him early with that big head kick, but then Frevola just got up, he shook it off. I thought he was going to finish him in the first round, and then Frevola started hurting Lando, and it was just an open fight, no defense. At the end of that round, Frevola was on Lando's back trying to choke him out, and then, in the second round, Frevola got hurt really bad. I mean, that was a 10-8 in my opinion. I think it was correct in the judges' scorecards. I really think that, they could have stopped that fight potentially, and the ability for Frevola to come back after that was, really, really miraculous. Great performance by both guys, and Lando kind of seemed like he got over that mental block, and I thought he won the fight. I thought the third round was very close, but I thought Lando won the third round. I know a lot of people thought that Frevola won the third round, and they could have given him the fight, but I do think that, probably the draw is the more accurate scorecard. I think that it's hard to say that one guy won and one guy lost in a type of fight like that. Just a spectacular fight. Props to both guys, and we'll see where they both go from here. And up next you have Lyman Good against Ben Saunders, and man, Ben Saunders once again getting finished in the first round. It's kind of hard to see, a guy that's a really nice guy, a great guy, a martial artist like Ben Saunders just keep getting in there, taking a lot of damage. I'm never going to tell someone to retire, but it's just, he hasn't had a good run of late, and that was a pretty vicious knockout. Lyman Good knocked him out completely unconscious, it looked like, and big win for Lyman Good. It seemed like Ben Saunders, he always gets a little bit complacent when he gets in that clinch, man. He feels he's safe in the plum, and he doesn't realize that he can get hurt with short punches and uppercuts, and that's exactly what happened, and Lyman Good just put him away. So big win for Lyman Good coming off that layoff with USADA. And for Ben Saunders, I don't know if he's going to stick around in the UFC. I don't know if they're going to keep him around, but that's 4 out of 5 losses for Ben Saunders. He's been finished in all 4 of his losses, 3 KO TKOs, so taking a lot of damage recently, and if he wants to continue fighting, I just hope that he starts to take, the better matchups, fight guys that are maybe closer to his, closer to the point that he is in his career, So, props to the Lyman Good. He had a big victory there. And up next we have Shayman Moraes against Julio Arce. And this was a hell of a fight, man. I mean, I thought that it was a lot closer than the judges' scorecards. That one judge gave it a 30-26, which, I completely didn't agree with at all. The first round, it was a pretty close round, I mean, Arce did get dropped really badly. I mean, it was a pretty bad drop. And because of that, I think that, maybe you have to give him Rice the round. But then as well, Arce was on his back for probably 3 minutes of that round. He never really got that close to getting the rear naked choke, but he was definitely attacking with it. And it was a close round. If someone would have said they gave that round to Arce, I would have not many debates about that. And then that second round, was a clear round for Shayman Moraes. He was landing big elbows, really opened up a huge cut over Arce. And I was pretty surprised they didn't stop the fight to check the cut, do anything for that. And Arce was bleeding really heavily, but Arce is a warrior, man. He didn't back down at all. He continued to strike, he continued to fight, continued to move forward, and in that third round, he definitely got the better of the action in that round, and he you could have made an argument that he won the fight 29-28. It was a split decision. I do think Moraes probably did the more damage, probably deserved the victory there. But, I think that in that third round, Arce was really putting it to Moraes. And I think Shayman needs to work on, his cardio a bit. It seems like he really tails off that third round. And against guys that are a little bit higher level, he can't get away with getting that tired in a fight. He's going to get finished in that third round. So, big, great fight by both guys. I think they're both going to be fixtures in the UFC. They're both going to be potential top 15 guys, and they'll both be back. I think Arce is still a prospect to watch, and Moraes, that's 2 big wins in a row as an underdog. So Shayman's probably going to get a top 15 guy again next, and we'll see what's going to happen from there. And then next we had Sijara Eubanks gets Roxanne Modafferi, and Sijara Eubanks, once again, she missed weight, which was pretty disappointing to see that. I think she was guaranteed a title shot with the win, but obviously now with the missing of the weight, I highly doubt she'll get that title shot. So that's twice now that she's been denied a title shot due to a weight cut. And, Roxanne had to deal with fighting a heavier girl there, so that was a tough pill for Roxanne as well. But for the fight, Eubanks looked good. She was able to, pretty much control Roxanne on the ground. She dropped her with a big head kick, which was pretty nice, and she got a 30-27 on all cards. And Roxanne did her thing. She's a scrappy chick. She fought hard, never quit. She even had her moments. She got on top a couple times, swept position, but pretty clear win for Sijara Eubanks, and we'll see where she goes from here. If she's going to stay at 125, go to 135, who she's going to fight next. And for Roxanne, she's always going to be a fan favorite. She's always going to be able to, draw a unique audience, some people that like to watch her. And she'll be able to, continue to have fun fights in the UFC. And I still think she's a pretty good fighter in that division. She's probably a top 15 girl. And then next we have Jordan Rinaldi against Jason Knight. And another disappointing performance by Jason Knight. He started off in the UFC 4-0. He's lost 4 in a row. Now he's 4-4. So, I mean, that's a pretty tough road, man. I mean, we have to wonder if the UFC is going to let him go now at this point. And for Jordan Rinaldi, he looked great. He just continuously took down Jason Knight. Jason Knight didn't have an answer for the takedowns, and he just couldn't defend him, man. And once he got him on the ground, he was able to get to the back. He really was able to just completely nullify that guard of Jason Knight. And on the back, Jason Knight couldn't get off, man. He couldn't get away from that body triangle. Jordan Rinaldi was kind of looking for the rear naked choke, but really was just worried about position, worried about controlling the fight. And he beat Jason Knight pretty clearly in all 3 rounds, completely dominated the grappling. And huge win for Jordan Rinaldi. He's now 1-0 at 145 in the UFC, and he got a win over a name. I mean, whether Jason Knight's struggling or not, he's a name. He's fought top guys in the division. He's beaten good fighters like Chaz Skelly, who we're going to talk about later. He's beaten fighters like Dan Hooker. So he's definitely been in there with solid competition. And, Rinaldi got a big win there. And Rinaldi's going to probably get a top 15 fighter in his next fight. And it was a good decision to drop down in that weight class. And Next you have Israel Adesanya against Derek Brunson, and he was our most confident pick of the night, and kind of showed exactly why. He completely outclassed Derek Brunson. Wasn't even a competition. He went out there, he styled on him. Brunson went for a takedown early, and he was really grabbing the shorts pretty bad, and Adesanya got pissed. He flicked off the ref. I mean, that's probably the most um, action in the fight for Brunson's side, to be honest with you. I mean, other than that, Brunson was really just getting um, pieced up on the outside. He was shooting really slow takedowns, and Adesanya was just able to piece him up, man. It was pretty nasty. He landed a sick knee against the fence that really rocked Brunson. Then he got up. He landed a nice jab, a question mark kick, and Brunson on the question mark kick kind of like wagged his finger at him like no, no, no or something. And then on the finishing sequence, he dropped him with a question mark kick. So I think that's pretty cool. He was able to come back and get him with the same move. And, he dropped him a couple times, and then, they waved out the fight. And I think it was a good stoppage. I see some people saying it was a bad stoppage, but, Brunson was getting really beat up there, and Brunson didn't argue the stoppage. So definitely think that it was a good stoppage. That's a big type of performance for Israel Adesanya. It kind of reminds me of, like, when Chris Lieben fought against Anderson Silva, and really just put on a show, man. Really came out for a big audience, and you see him he's talking to people like Charlemagne the God. You see people, Draymond Green, people like that are shouting him out. So he's starting to kind of, make his way into, black culture in the United States. So he's becoming a bigger and bigger draw, here in the U.S. and overseas. So we'll see what happens with Israel Adesanya. He's definitely going to be probably a pay-per-view star to come. And for Derek Brunson, I think that kind of cements his spot there. He's always going to be a gatekeeper to that top 10, and he still could be in some fun fights. He's still an athletic guy. He's still a dangerous guy, but definitely, he's not the level of an Israel Adesanya, not at all, And then up next, you had Carl Roberson against Jack Marshman, and this was a fun fight. He closed out the parlay of the week, and we hit on this one, and Carl Roberson really dominated this fight, in my opinion. The first round, he was looking really good, landing a lot of straight counters and clean right hands, and really Marshman had no success. He couldn't really close the distance. And then the second round, Marshman maybe had a little bit more success striking, but Roberson was able to hit a nice double leg control on top. Marshman couldn't stand up, and then he did the same thing in the third round. And Roberson also had some sort of leg injury, so it seemed like maybe he slowed down a bit, and maybe he potentially could have finished the fight if not, but still a big win for Carl Roberson. And he proved that he's a prospect to continue to watch. And for Jack Marshman, that's, I think, 2 losses in a row. And, he's been, going up and down weight classes, thinking about retiring. So that was probably a tough pill to swallow for Jack Marshman. But we'll see if he wants to continue his career, if he's going to stay in the UFC, what's going to happen with him. And for Carl Roberson, I mean, he potentially could get a top 15 guy next, or, maybe top 25, and we'll see what happens. He lost to Cesar Montanch, but, that's not anything to sneeze about. Montanch is a beast, so, that's not a bad loss. And up next we had Jared Cannonier against David Branch, and wow, I mean, what a great performance by Jared Cannonier. He came into the octagon looking straight ripped, man. I mean, he was in phenomenal shape for his new division at 185 pounds, and he was able to, in that first round, really make David Branch work. Even though David Branch won the round, he was able to take Cannonier down quite a few times, probably 2 or 3 times. He was landing some decent shots. He was able to land some shots off the break in the clinch, and, control him against the fence. But, I mean, Cannonier was making him work, and you could tell that Branch was expending a lot of energy, more energy than he wanted to do, trying to control Cannonier. And that second round, Cannonier came out really aggressive, man, throwing big right hands. Branch tried to go for a single leg, and, Cannonier hit him with a big right hand, and Branch kind of, like, fell. He was, like, kneeling a little bit, and Cannonier started landing big ground and pound, and the fight was just over, man. I mean, Keith Peterson stopped the fight. And a big win for Jared Cannonier. He came in there as an unranked guy, first fight in his new division, and he finished arguably a top, 5 to 10 guy in the division. So, I mean, he's going to get a ranking next to his name most likely, and he proved that he's a dangerous guy. He's improving. He's going to come. He's going to, see what he could do at this 185-pound division if he could potentially make a run. And he's a dangerous striker, man. He's going to be a scary guy for anyone to fight in there. And for David Branch, it's a really tough loss. You know, David Branch is 37 years old. He really wanted to get his shot at the title in the UFC. And with that loss, you know, I think it really cements him as kind of a gatekeeper to the top 5, top 10. And, you know, it kind of sucks because, you know, he was going to get to fight Jacare at first. That got pulled out from under him. He was going to get to fight Yoel Romero. And then he took the loss to Jared Cannonier. So he never got his big break. Never got his shot at a big-name fight besides Luke Rockhold. And, you know, then he took this loss to Cannonier. So we'll see where he's going to go from here, who he's going to fight, what level of fighter. I'm guessing maybe they'll give him a fringe top 15 fighter. And we'll see if he can rebound. But that's a big loss for David Branch. And another guy that's had a big loss was Chris Weidman, man. I mean, I thought Chris Weidman was looking phenomenal in this fight. I thought he was working behind the jab. He was, you know, really throwing some nice combinations with his punches. He was really beating Souza up. He was landing that hard, straight left hand. And I thought the second round was very close, you know, but Jacare, I mean, I got to give all the credit in the world to Jacare. That guy is just a machine, man. He's someone that he just decided that he's not going to lose that fight. He's not going to go backwards. It doesn't matter if he's tired. Doesn't matter if he's getting hurt. It doesn't matter if he's getting hit. He's going to continue to walk forward. He's going to walk you down, and he's going to throw his big shots. And he always has that chance to hit you, man. And he hit Chris Weidman, knocked him out completely unconscious. And, you know, Big Dan was not in position to stop the fight. And Jacare was even pissed off, it seemed like, that he had to hit him a couple more times because that was a terrible stoppage. I mean, Chris Weidman was completely out of conscious off the first shot. And a big win for Jacare. I mean, really looked like his career was about to go down the tubes, man. I mean, 2 losses, almost 40 years old. He was 2 minutes away from a 2-fight losing streak. He would have lost to 3 of the top 5 guys in the division. And, you know, what was he going to do after that? You know, it would have been in a very bad spot. But then he does the exact same thing to Chris Weidman, where Chris Weidman, he was 2 minutes away from resurrecting his career, man. He would have came back. He would have beaten Jacare, would have beaten Kelvin Gastelum, been on a 2-fight win streak against 2 very, very tough guys, top 5 guys in the division. And now, after that loss, I mean, 2 minutes away from a victory, now he's lost 4 out of 5. He's lost to 4 of the top 5 guys in the division. And, you know, he's just teetering in no man's land. I mean, it's very hard to see this. You know, it's hard to see him ever get a shot at the title at 185 again. I guess we'll see if he wants to try to make a move up to 205 pounds. But he's taken a lot of damage, man. I mean, he's been knocked out 4 times in his last 5 fights. Pretty viciously this time. Pretty viciously against Yoel Romero. Pretty viciously against Luke Rockhold. And, you know, that damage meter adds up, man. You can't continue to take these shots after shots after shots and just think you're going to be completely fine. So, obviously, it's doing something to his chin, and if he wants to move up, start to fight these bigger guys, he's going to have to, you know, get used to that power as well up there. So, we'll see what's going to happen with Chris Weidman. And for Jacare, I mean, that's a huge win for him. I mean, now he's right back in the thick of it again. I mean, yes, he has lost to Kelvin. He has lost to Robert Whittaker, but, I mean, who wouldn't want to see a fight between, like, him and Israel Adesanya? I mean, that would be fantastic. Or a fight with, you know, anyone in the top 5. I wouldn't mind seeing him rematch Yoel Romero. That was a very controversial decision. And, you know, we'll see what happens for Jacare, but that's a huge win. He kind of, you know, proved that he's still here. He proved that he's still a fixture. He's still a threat. And Daniel Cormier, once again, you know, 3 fights, 3 title fights in 2018, 3 finishes. He won 2 different titles. I mean, he's the first guy in UFC history, I think, to defend a belt at 2 different weight classes. I'm trying to think because Conor never defended either belt. BJ Penn, I don't believe he defended the welterweight belt. I know who, Randy Couture? Maybe Randy Couture. I could be wrong. Maybe Randy Couture defended both belts, but I think DC might be the first person to ever defend both belts, or defend 2 belts in 2 different divisions. And, you know, dominant victory, flawless. I mean, I don't even think he threw a punch on the feet. And, able to get Derek Lewis down. He was able to even ankle pick him at one point, which was pretty funny. And dominant victory for Daniel Cormier. He proved he's one of the greatest of all time. Got that rear naked choke, and I don't think his stock drops for Black Beast at all. You know, he really proved that he can, what's it called? Headline a pay-per-view. He could bring fans to come in, and he's always going to be dangerous. You know, he's always going to be a guy that you have to hold your breath when you're watching him fight, even if you think that he has no chance. So, always going to be at your edge of your seat as a fan, and he's always going to make it entertaining before and after the fight. So he didn't drop it all in stock, in my opinion. And DC now is probably going to fight Brock Lesnar and retire, which is pretty sad to see DC walk away when he does. I'm sure, you know, all of us hardcore fans really respect Cormier, everything he's done with his career. And, you know, when he retires, he'll go down as one of the greatest of all time. And it was another fantastic victory. I think he's going to win Fighter of the Year this year. And all the props to the world to Daniel Cormier with a big victory. And we're going to move on now to UFC Denver. It's going to be the Korean Zombie versus Yair Rodriguez. And, you know, that fight has all the makings to be a complete madness. So we're going to get right into the card. In the first fight of the night, we have Mark Delarosa, and he's going to be taking on Joby Sanchez, who's going to be stepping in late notice for this fight. And it's in Denver, so, you know, that's definitely something that you have to take into account. And but, you know, Sanchez, he's a well-rounded fighter. He has good striking. He boxes well. He'll dig to the body with hooks. He has fast hands, but he can get hit in the pocket, and his chin is very questionable. You know, he has a pretty bad chin. He's been knocked out quite a few times. And, you know, he prefers more to grapple now more recently, you know, in his fights. I think that he knows that his chin is a bit weak. He more prefers to grind against the cage. And, you know, he has decent takedowns against the feds. He does a good job of scrambling to get out of positions and then winning top position. And he has great cardio. But, you know, with this fight on short notice in Denver, you have to wonder about that. And, you know, I don't know. I just think that Mark De La Rosa is going to be the bigger guy here. This fight's going to be at 135 pounds. And De La Rosa is a big, powerful guy, man. He's well-rounded. He has a really nice jab, nice straight punches, light on his feet. He really likes to control the center. He walks opponents down. He has a high guard, good head movement. He's very defensively sound as well. You know, he's always staying in the right position. He doesn't overextend. And he likes to throw 3-4 punch combinations when he closes the distance. And he likes to wait to counter. He'll counter with long combos. And he's very fast, explosive. And he only has 1 KO, but definitely has some decent power for a smaller guy. And he's a good wrestler. He's strong in the clinch. He landed a big throw against Elias Garcia, and he also spun him around in the air and threw him on the ground. And, you know, he has good timing on his double legs. He likes to take fighters down against the fence. And he can't be taken down, but he has good scrambling, good defense as well. A pretty good guard. He has fast hips. He'll throw up triangles, arm bars. He almost got Tim Elliott in a couple submissions. And he has good control on top, great back control, really good rear naked chokes. And, you know, I just see that happening in this fight. I think Mark De La Rosa is just the better fighter all around here. I think that he's going to be able to stalk, you know, his opponent to the cage. I think he's going to stalk Sanchez to the cage. He's going to be able to take him down with double legs. He's going to be able to box him up. And I think Sanchez, you know, his path to victory would probably be to get on top of De La Rosa and grind him out. But I just think that that's a, you know, I just don't think that's a very high possibility. You know, I just think that De La Rosa is better everywhere. And I think he should show that in this fight. I think that he's going to probably win a pretty dominant decision, in my opinion, or not get a finish via submission. And up next you have Joseph Morales against Eric Shelton. And, you know, this is a pretty close fight. You know, it's probably a loser-leaves-town match. I mean, Joseph Morales lost his last fight, and Eric Shelton has not had a great run in the UFC. And they're not really looking to keep 125ers, it seems like, anymore. But Joseph Morales, he's a long-time staple of Team Alpha Male. Uriah Faber's pretty high on him. And he's going to be taking on Eric Shelton, who's trained with TJ Dillashaw in the past, but now he's training out at ATT, so he's not in Elevation anymore. I thought that he was training out of Denver, but he's training at ATT for this camp. And, you know, both fighters need a win here. And Joseph Morales, he's a strong jiu-jitsu player, decent boxer, he has quick hands, he's a good jab, straight right hand. He throws decent inside-outside leg kicks. He'll throw an oblique kick to the knee. Good right hook. He has a good rear leg body kick. Solid footwork. He does a good job controlling the center of the cage, circling off, avoiding the power. And he's always trying to fake level change, close the distance to land his hooks. And he does a good job keeping pressure, cutting the cage off. And he does have power for a 125. He has 2 KO TKOs, but he was finished for the first time in his career in his last fight. And Morales is a strong grappler. He's great off his back. He doesn't have great takedown defense, but he likes being off his back. He's extremely flexible. He has fast hips, nasty triangles. He does a great job using the triangle on the head. Even if he can't get the triangle, he'll just get the position, and he's able to control the body. He's able to get on top, sweep, and then he'll attack with an arm bar. He has great back takes. He can take the back from very odd positions. Nice butterfly guard, good butterfly sweeps as well. He has a strong guillotine. I mean, he's very good off his back. He has 5 submission victories, 3 rear naked chokes. He has a triangle and a guillotine. And he's never been submitted himself. He has strong cardio. He could definitely go for all 3 rounds. Don't really have to worry about that with the flyweights. And Rouse needs to keep heavy pressure, close the distance, try to use a jab, some boxing combinations, and try to limit range striking, because I think he's kind of like the lesser athlete in this fight. And I even could see him pulling guard and trying to get Shelton to come on top of him, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to take Shelton down. But, I think to be able to win this fight, he probably needs to be able to take Shelton down. And Eric Shelton needs a win here. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, but 3 of those 5 fights were by split decision, so he's in the fights. But he's a great athlete. He seems to have the intangibles and the skills to be a great fighter, but just hasn't put it all together. Like I said, he's training at ATT for this fight, so maybe we'll see some improvements in his execution, his mindset. But he's a solid striker. He has a good jab, straight right hand. He likes to double up with a jab, then throw a right hook. And he also likes to pressure, stalk his opponents to the cage. And he can get stuck just walking down his opponent, staring at him with a high guard. He isn't a very high output striker, and even when he seems to have a significant striking advantage, he really won't let go enough. He just tries to pressure and pull fighters into his power, and if they aren't going to play the game with him, then they're just going to look at each other. But if they won't, he does sometimes close the distance with a nice uppercut, and he has good defense, good footwork. He has a high guard, and doesn't get hit clean very much. He'll rarely throw kicks. He's predominantly a boxer, and he doesn't have huge power. He only has 2 TKOs in his career. He has a good chin. He's never been finished. And he's a strong grappler. He's a good wrestler, very explosive with double and single legs. His shots come very fast. He does a good job timing them when fighters are off balance. He's good in the clinch. Strong body locks. On top, he's great. On top, he isn't great, really, But he does throw short punches, short elbows. He has decent control. He does like to get to the back, and he has a decent rear naked choke. But he can't be taken down himself. He was taken down 5 times in his last fight. But he is hard to hold down. He does a good job getting back up to his feet, especially against the cage. He isn't dangerous off his back, but he does have some decent sweeps, and he has 5 submissions himself. He's never been submitted, so definitely is okay in the jiu-jitsu realm. And he's always in close fights. He's lost 4 split decisions, and he's 3-5 in decisions in his career. So, 4 of those 5 losses, one judge thought he won. So, he's been in very close fights, and Shelton, I see him looking to try to pull Morales into his counter punches, keep the fight on the feet like he always does, and I think this is basically a 50-50 fight. I think Shelton has an advantage on the feet, and I think Morales has an advantage on the ground, but Shelton is probably the better wrestler. And I think Shelton early will be looking to pressure, control the center of the cage, but I don't see him throwing much. You see him looking to counter with that straight right hand, and I don't think he's going to want to get over anxious, because I don't think he wants to get, off balance, get in the clinch. And I think Morales is going to be throwing more punches. I think his output is going to give Shelton some problems early. And I think Shelton's going to eventually find that timing if Morales can't take him down. And I think Shelton will be able to take him down, but I don't know if he wants to take him down. And I don't know, man. This fight's hard for me to pick, but I'm going to pick Eric Shelton by split decision. I just think he's a little bit better than Bopo Morales, but I think that's kind of a 50-50 fight. And I'm next we have a fight that's definitely not a 50-50 fight with Davi Ramos against John Gunther. And, don't really have much to say here about this fight. John Gunther's a grinder. He's someone that, he has a great chin. He'll take a bunch of shots. He'll continue to come forward. His striking's basically non-existent. And when he gets you down, he really is just a control guy. He likes to get into half guard. He'll hit short shots. He'll work from your guard as well. But, we've seen him get caught in guillotines and put to sleep. And his striking is just not there. And for a guy like Dariush, I think that if he's going to try to shoot those double leg shots, especially after he gets hurt, like panic shots, I think Dariush is going to grab that neck up, man, and submit him. And the only reason why this fight is even somewhat entertaining, or somewhat, where you could question it, in my opinion, is that it's at altitude and that Dariush is a big guy with a lot of muscles. Gunther can go all day, so if somehow Gunther could continue to push it, but on the feet, I just don't see how he's going to be able to contend with Davi. So even if he was, fresher, I don't think he's going to be wanting to try to take Davi. Even if he does, Ramos, if he controls him on the ground for the last 2 rounds, that would be a very impressive win for John Gunther. But I'm going to go with Davi Ramos, either first or second round guillotine. And, that's obviously one of the most confident picks on the card. He's like a minus 900 for a reason. So, and up next you have Devontae Smith against Julian Erosa. And this is a great fight. Julian Erosa and Devontae Smith both just fought recently on the Contender Series. I think they fought on the same episode. And they both earned very quick knockouts. Erosa had a tough round 1. He bounced back at the round 2 knockout, while Devontae Smith got a knockout in the first round. And Devontae Smith, he's 3-0, so it's going to Factory X, and this is going to be his second full camp there. And, he's looking a lot better, really improved. He's an athletic guy. And this is going to be at 55. Rosa is normally a 45er, so Smith should have a decent size advantage here. And he's extremely athletic, and that camp has been on a great run of late. Fighters like Anthony Smith fought there, and, so they're definitely been on a great run. And Smith has a fast jab. He has a nice one, too. He closes a lot of distance with the straight right hand, and it's tight and accurate. He's very fast with his punches. He does a solid job mixing up. He'll go body head with a jab. Throws a decent left hook followed with a jab. And he has a long reach. He's gotten better at staying in his range, using lateral footwork. That used to be a problem. He would let fighters get inside, get in on the legs. But he's gotten better at that. He'll throw uppercuts in close range. He does a solid job of, timing it when opponents level change, making them scared to shoot for takedowns. And he keeps a good pace. He has good forward pressure. He walks fighters down. And I saw that, he obviously got gassed out against John Gunther. But I watched a more recent fight after he'd been to Factory X. He was in the 4th round. He was doing just fine with his cardio there. He was doing better at using his lateral movement, not letting the guy take him down. And he can lean back at times, though, to try to avoid punches instead of moving his feet, which could potentially cause him issues against combination strikers. But he was using a strong low leg kick in his last fight, which I hadn't seen him use as much previously, so he's definitely added more tools, and that was something that was very effective for him. And he has big power. He finished 7 of his 8 wins by KO, TKO, and he has a strong chin. He's been KO, TKO'd once, but that was more due to getting caught in a position on the ground and exhaustion, poor gas tank. And he's going to be a dangerous guy. If he continues to improve and implement new techniques in his striking game, definitely going to be someone to watch. And he's improving as a grappler, but more of an anti-grappler. He's trying to use his wrestling in reverse, keep it on the feet. And he's improving his footwork. He's making it harder for fighters to time entries on him, close the distance, or back him towards the cages frequently. And he has strong hips. He does a good job getting his back to the cage and digging underhooks, circling off. He finished Joe Lowry in his last fight with nasty elbows to the head when Lowry was attempting to double leg against the cage. And he also does a good job sprawling, stiffing out shots, stuffing them. He'll go for double legs himself. He has big explosive slams. And if he can get his hands locked, he definitely has, the power to pick you up and bring you for a ride. And he has devastating ground and pound when he's on top. He can put people unconscious with those shots. And his cardio was a problem in his one loss against John Gunther. But Gunther's a guy who eats big shots, continues to press forward with a grinding style. And for Devontae Smith, he's actually gotten this notice a lot longer than Erosa. Apparently he's known that he's going to fight on this card for a while now, and Erosa got the call on short notice. While also he's training at Factory X, he's a full-time fighter now, so he's definitely going to have the cardio, in my opinion, at least a bit improved. And he's going to be the faster, more powerful fighter in there. I think Smith needs to use those low leg kicks, then throw his punches. And when he sees it opens, he has the power to knock Rosa out. If he lands clean on that chin, as we've seen, we've seen Rosa get knocked out before. And Rosa is getting a second chance in the UFC after a failed first stint, after his time on Tough. And Rosa is very tall at featherweight. He's 6 foot tall. Now he's going to be at lightweight, obviously, but it makes him an awkward matchup for a lot of fighters. And Rosa's a striker. He likes to come forward, pressure opponents, but then he likes to counter strike. He likes to pull people, pull their power out, then try to strike, counter the shots. And he likes, keep forward pressure or even taunt. He'll stick his hands up. He tries to goad opponents into a war. Keeps his hands low as well. And it makes his punches hard to see, but also easier for him to get hit clean. He's a decent jab, good wide hooks. He has a nice left hook. He catches fighters circling away with it. Good front kicks to the body, strong lead knees, jump knees. He throws inside-outside leg kicks, and he has good cardio, and he's comfortable in a war. So that's something that Devontae Smith can't give him. He can't get sloppy, get in a war here with this guy, because, Rosa's the type of guy that has good cardio, and he's comfortable in those type of situations. He can find shots and finish the fight. He's dangerous. And he can change the fight with one kick or one knee. We saw that in his last fight with that big knockout against Jamal Emmers. And he has a decent chin still, in my opinion, even though he can get hit clean and knocked out. I've seen him get hit with some decent shots to be able to continue to come forward. But he seems to like to counter, and he can get impatient when there's a lack of action, close distance with his hands low, and that's where he gets clipped and hurt. And he's been finished 3 times before in his career. He has 10 KO TKOs himself, so he definitely is dangerous. And he's dangerous on the ground, too. He's a good jiu-jitsu player, but he's not a strong wrestler. He doesn't use offensive wrestling much, but he will go for body locks or double legs at times if he's getting pieced up. But fighters seem to be able to take him down very easily when they try. But he is dangerous off his back, He has nice sweeps. He makes it difficult for people to pass his guard due to his length. And he has 9 submissions. He has 3 triangles. He has a guillotine. He even has a darce. And he's never been submitted himself. So, he definitely is dangerous on the ground. He's very wary of jiu-jitsu positions. Knows what he's doing down there. And, he has good cardio and the experience of fighting at high-level fighters and in the UFC before. So Rosa needs to use that. He needs to push the pace. He needs to try to land a shot on Smith that changes the tide of the fight. I think that early on, he kind of needs to be a little bit defensive, try to stay offline, try to move, be a hard target to hit, maybe frustrate Smith a little bit, face the storm, weather it, and then kind of go in second and third round and just try to out-volume, try to cut down the tree and take him out. But I don't think Rosa will be able to win a decision here unless he hurts Smith in rounds 2 and 3 or something. But I think he needs to catch and clip Smith or earn a submission to get a win here. And Rosa try to utilize head kicks, try to catch Smith as he backs up, in my opinion. And if he can get the fight to the ground somehow, he'll have a chance to win via submission. But Devontae Smith needs to be in and out. He needs to be wary of his defense in this fight. He can't lean back with his hands low because he could get clipped with a high kick. And he also doesn't want to go to the ground with Rosa because Rosa's tricky on the ground. And, I think if Smith lands clean, though, with this right hand, he could put Rosa down. And I think this is a good matchup for Smith. Rosa is also a striker, and I think that Smith should have the advantage on the feet. He just needs to be careful. And I think Smith will be able to find that chin, knock Rosa out in round 1 and round 2. And I'm going to go with Devontae Smith to get the victory here. So, and up next we have Beneil Dariush against Thiago Moises. And, it's pretty interesting. I was listening to an interview with our last guy that we just talked about, Devontae Smith, on James Lynch, and it sounded like James Lynch was insinuating that Benny Dariush ducked Devontae Smith. He denied a fight with him, and then he took this fight with Thiago Moises. So he always thinks that Moises is an easier fight than Devontae Smith. But Thiago Moises is going to be making his long-awaited UFC debut, and he's only 23 years old, so Moises has definitely racked up a ton of high-level experience versus good competition at a young age. He's a lot of experience in championship fights. He's fought 4 title fights in the RFA and the LFA, and he's won 3 of them. And he has a good jab, a very nice straight right hand. He also has a nice right hook. He's powerful, but he's a slow starter. He picks it up as the fight goes on. His kicks are pretty nasty, big leg, body, and round kicks. And he's athletic. He'll throw spinning heel kicks to the body, spinning heel kicks to the head, and jumping roundhouse kicks. He's very quick with the techniques. He stays defensively sound. After throwing them, he doesn't lose his balance. He has a nasty head kick, too. In his last fight, he used to set up to get a finish. And, he was doing a better job in his last match about skipping into range with his jab, using better footwork. But in the past, he let fighters get inside on him. He's a bit flat-footed, and he can get passive at times, just circle, which is kind of odd. And he definitely has big power. He could drop fighters with his right hook, but he only has 3 KO TKOs. But, I've seen him drop fighters and submit them, and definitely is someone that you have to watch out for with their power. And, he has a good chin. He's never been finished himself, and he's a submission specialist. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Strong guy. He's good in the clinch. He has big knees, big elbows, good body lock takedowns. He shoots for doubles against the cage as well. He isn't a super active seeker of the takedown. He seems to prefer to strike at times, but when he does see the opening, he will go for the top position. He's aggressive when he gets on top. He definitely prefers position over submission, but, he will get to a dominant position. He'll start to rain down shots. He also will look for rear naked chokes, look for submissions, and, he's definitely a finisher. He's finished 8 of his 11 wins, and he's only 3-2 in decisions. And starting slow makes it kind of hard for him to win decisions with his style. And he has good cardio. He gets stronger as the fight goes on. He's used to fighting a lot of 5-round fights. But he's taking a pretty sizable step up in competition here. He needs to really show his game to earn a win here. And Benny Dariush, he's in kind of a career tailspin. He's a promising prospect back in 2016. And since then, he's 0-2-1 his last 3 fights. Just had a loss to Alex Hernandez in like 20 seconds, which looked like a much worse loss at the time, but now we all know how good Hernandez is. But Dariush is an explosive fighter. He's well-rounded. He's a veteran. 13 UFC fights at this point. And this is the best fighter Moises has ever fought, but can't be said the same about Dariush. So Dariush has definitely had the more experience. And he's fought a who's who of the lightweight divisions. He's fought Tony Martin, Carlos Diego Ferreira, Jim Miller, Michael Johnson, James Vick, Rashid Magomedov. His losses have only come to top 15 guys. So I hope that he still has the confidence, and, he's beaten all those guys. Those guys are high-level fighters, and he needs to know that he's still one of the best 155ers in the world. He's still a top 15 guy. He's a good pressure striker. He has a nice jab, strong body kick, nice straight left hand, good left hook, closes distance very well with punches. He likes to use a jab, straight left hand to a head kick combination. He has good Superman punches, good spinning back fist. And he's more of a counter striker. He likes to anticipate shots, block, and return. Nice step-in knees to the body. He has big power. He only has 3 finishes via strikes, but since moving to King's MMA, definitely got a lot better with his striking, definitely more powerful. He definitely has a questionable chin. He got flatlined against Edson Barbosa, just got finished against Hernandez in like less than 30 seconds, and he's been finished 3 times overall, so we need to see how his confidence is here. And Dariush is a very strong grappler. He's good in the clinch. He has an excellent Muay Thai plum. He lands big knees. He has a great job digging underhooks, and he's strong with his clinch control against the cage. Strong clinch takedowns. And he shoots for doubles against the cage as well. He's an elite BJJ player. On top, he's very dangerous. He throws heavy elbows, huge ground and pound. He's a black belt. He's won the No-Gi World Championships as a blue, purple, and brown belt. And he's very hard to take down or control in the clinch himself. But he does get tired in grappling heavy matches. We saw that against Evan Dunham. He has 6 submissions. He has good arm triangles, good rear naked chokes. And he has been submitted 1 time in his career by Michael Chiesa. And Moises is very good on the ground as well, So, Dariush has to be careful. But if he does get taken down off his back, he will attack with omoplata sweeps. He's active with submissions. And Dariush needs a win to stay in the UFC here. And he's going to probably come in great shape. He needs to close that distance, get inside, land the bombs. He should also try to work in the clinch, get the cage, get control time. And Dariush should win the fight here, man. He just needs to be aggressive, get in Moises' face, pressure him. Moises is still young, He allows fighters to stall, control, get in the clinch. He allows fighters to get inside on him. Doesn't really know how to use his range well yet. And Dariush needs to just try to out-veteran him. I think Dariush is going to be the stronger, more explosive guy here. And Moises needs to catch Dariush to one shot or just find a submission. And I don't think he's going to win a decision, but I'm going to go with Beneil Dariush to win this fight via either late finish or decision victory. And I'm going to go with Benny Dariush. So Benny Dariush for the win there. And I'm next to Chaz Skelly against Bobby Moffett. And, this is a fun fight. It's kind of 2 guys that have similar styles. Bobby Moffett had a dominant victory on Dana White Contender Series. And he has a tough matchup here in his debut versus Chaz Skelly. Chaz Skelly's a tough veteran. He has a lot of UFC experience. But Moffett's well-rounded. But he's definitely grappling heavy. He's an athletic guy. He's big for the weight class. He has a good leaping right hook, nice leg kicks, good in and out movement. He's always in perpetual forward motion. He's always stalking as opposed to the fence. He has a nice left hook, right hook combo. He also throw a right hook head kick combination. And his head movement isn't bad. He's very durable as well. He's only been finished one time. And in my opinion, that was a bad stoppage against a really good guy in Raoni Barcelos. And he isn't a big power striker himself. He only has one career knockout. But he's a very good wrestler. He's a submission artist. He's very strong in the clinch. Good body lock takedowns. He also likes to shoot singles and doubles. And when fighters' backs are near the cage, he definitely likes to shoot there. And once he's on top, he works very quickly. He has great guard passing. He does a solid job jumping right into side control. And once he gets there, he'll unload with heavy elbows, hammer fist. He has good control in that position. He's able to float. If you try to give your back or try to roll to your knees, he likes to get in that wrestling ride. Try to get mount his opponents, take their back. And he's like a boulder on top of opponents. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's very dangerous with chokes. He has nice arm triangles, good rear naked chokes. But definitely his favorite choke is the Darce. He can catch opponents in it when they attempt to shoot in as well, or when he's in top position. And it makes him dangerous to shoot takedowns against because he can always catch that Darce. And that is along with him being a strong wrestler, probably and having good defensive wrestling as well. And he has great cardio. He's always working in top position. Great positional awareness, and he just mauls guys. He has 8 submissions. He's never been submitted in his career, and Moffett's going to want to get inside, grind Skelly out, and Skelly has been susceptible to pressure wrestlers in his career. His 2 losses to Darren Elkins and Jason Knight kind of show that. And Moffett's going to be the better athlete and faster guy, in my opinion, on the feet, and he needs to use that to his advantage, keep the pressure on Skelly, get him backed up to the cage. And Skelly's going to want to stay in the center and box, in my opinion. If Moffett can back him up, take him down, I think that he'll be able to potentially grind out a decision here. And Chad Skelly, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's a guy who's been around the block of the UFC. He's taken some time off. He hasn't fought in about a year and a half. I saw in an interview he said he had Tommy John surgery on his right arm, which is a pretty major injury. So we have to see how he comes back from that. But he's a decent striker. He's dangerous in close range. He has a nice jab, very good straight right hand. He'll throw a wide lead hook followed by a straight right hand right down the pipe. And he isn't the fastest fighter, but he has kind of deceptive quickness with his punches. And he's able to counter with straight punches, tight hooks. But he also can counter it as well because he can get a little bit wide at times. And he can throw from a little bit too far out, duck his head. It leaves him susceptible to knees and uppercuts. And he's allowed fighters to close the distance on him in the past, get inside a little bit too easily. And he needs to have that corrected in this matchup. He needs to have better lateral movement. And he doesn't throw many kicks, but he will get, wild to close the distance at times. He'll throw techniques such as flying knees, jump kicks. And he needs to be going forward, controlling the center of the cage in this fight. And Skelly's dangerous and close. He has good front knees, good uppercuts, good elbows. And deceptively fast at close range. Like I said, he catches fighters. And he doesn't have huge power. He only has 2 KO TKOs, but he's a very tough guy. He continues to push forward. He's only been finished one time in his career, and he had an injury earlier in that fight against Jason Knight, so it's hard to say that he would have gotten finished if he didn't have that injury. And Skelly's a wrestler too, and him and Moffett have pretty similar styles. Skelly likes to close the distance, get in the clinch. He has good double underhooks, he likes to get the takedowns with nice trips. Good double leg shots. He'll shoot singles against the cage. He needs to nation with his attempts. Once he gets in on a leg, he really is going to try to get that takedown. And once he gets to the ground, he's very slick with his submission game. He's active. He's always looking to finish the fight on the ground. He's a good top control. He's a good scrambler. Does a good job floating on top, keeping top position. He has been taken down before against Darren Elkins, and he was able to reverse or get top position really by attacking legs. So he is pretty good at taking the back at 50-50 positions on the ground, and he's pretty good at creating scrambles with leg locks. He's very opportunistic on the ground. He had a pretty nice rear naked choke. He has a great squeeze. He put Maximo Blanco to sleep with the anaconda choke pretty quickly, and he's someone you have to respect. He's going to go in there and go for broke. He has 10 career submissions. He's finished 13 of his 17 wins. And he has good cardio, but he does seem to get tired in later rounds of heavy wrestling fights. And Skelly's going to want to pressure Moffett on the feet, be the aggressor. He needs to control the center of the cage, use his long-range boxing combinations, and then land knees and short shots in close to make Moffett pay for closing the distance. And if he can keep this fight on the feet and be the fighter going forward, he has a chance to win here. And Skelly's gonna need to have worked on footwork, man. Cutting the cage off, staying in and out, not letting fighters get inside on him. And if he lets Moffett close the distance, get inside on him of his punches, I find it pretty difficult that he's going to be able to stop that pressure wrestling game. He needs to be in and out, landing the jab straight right hand. He needs to be landing some kicks, leg kicks. And if he could discourage Moffett from wrestling by landing some hard shots in close or defending a few takedowns early, he could change the momentum of the fight and, his experience may shine through. But ultimately, though, I think Moffett's a very good grappler. And I think he's a better overall athlete than Skelly. I believe he's going to be able to get inside, take him down. And Skelly's a high risk with his bottom game. He leaves himself in positions to be hit with ground and pound by trying to scramble to better positions. And if Moffett can punish Skelly in those positions, stay on top, I see him wearing him out and even potentially finishing him at late. And I think Moffett's a younger, fresher guy. And I think it's going to be a fun scramble fest, heavy grappling fight. But I'm going to go with Bobby Moffett to get the win here. And I'm going to pick him to win by decision in that one. And up next, you have Ashley Yoder against Amanda Bobby Cooper. And, this is a pretty close fight. Both these girls were on tough together. And I saw Amanda Bobby Cooper kind of, I don't want to say, I kind of being a little bit two-faced, in my opinion, man. I mean, on the show, it seemed like her and Ashley Yoder were good friends. They would talk. They would be nice to each other, cordial. Ashley Yoder went on James Lynch, and she had a very nice interview. She talked about how her and Bobby were friends, how it was just business. And then Amanda Bobby Cooper went on there and kind of bashed her, man. She was talking shit, saying that, they called her Smashly Ashley or something, and she was a wreck on the show. She was getting drunk every night after she got eliminated, and kind of, rubbed me the wrong way. She was saying, I don't know, I just didn't really like that from Amanda Bobby Cooper, but this is potentially a loser leaves town match. Both girls are coming off losses to Mackenzie Dern, and they both need a big win. Yoder's a scrappy chick. She's always fights tough, and she's long. She tries to accentuate her reach, but she isn't a great striker. She's flat-footed. She will throw a jab, a straight right hand, but her straight right hand, did look improved in her last fight, less loopy, and, more powerful. And she will throw decent front kicks to the body. She has decent inside leg kicks, and she's aggressive with forward pressure. She has a good chin. She eats shots, continues to walk forward. And, she's undetoured. She definitely is a very tough girl. And she doesn't have great speed, but she can get hit clean with tighter, faster punches. And I don't see her winning the strike much of this match. I see her going for the grappling. And Yoder's never been finished, and she doesn't have great power. She's never had a TKO herself either. And I see her trying to implement a heavy grappling game in this match, really push the pace. She was able to get a single leg in less than 10 seconds on Angela Hill, and I see her try to do that here. She won't try to get in the clinch, grind for takedown. She'll dive on submissions, both standing and on the ground. She's very aggressive. She'll try to take the back from very, even positions where she shouldn't try to take the back. She'll jump. She'll end up on her back, and she seems like she's just very comfortable everywhere. She's able to adapt, and her fight IQ just isn't very good, though. It's because she, you don't win fights off your back. Even if she's comfortable there, she's throwing up submissions, she's still getting grinded out, and it's just not a good look in the eyes of the judges trying to, jump on someone's back, slide off, end on the bottom, and then get grinded out for the rest of the round. So she needs to get better with her fight IQ a bit, but against Mackenzie Dern, it seemed like she did, man. I mean, she was showing great takedown defense. She was a strong wrestler. She showed pretty good cardio, and that was a very close fight. She had dropped Mackenzie Dern, and all three of her UFC fights have been very close. She isn't the easy out. She's very durable. She's mentally tough. She doesn't quit, and she needs to push the pace, wrestle, get Cooper on her back, and break her, man. I think Yoder's mentally stronger, and needs to make this a tough grinding fight to win here. For Amanda Bobby Cooper, she's a 2-time Golden Glove winner. She has solid boxing skills, good footwork, decent head movement. She throws a nice 2-punch combinations. She has a good lead left hand. She'll fall out with the right straight. And she changes up what she does with that left hand. She'll throw a jab. She'll throw an uppercut. And she always follows up with that straight right hand after, though. But she will attack to the body with her left hand as well. She has good hooks. She likes to be in space on the feet. She'll throw a front kick to the body, side kick to the body, try to keep that distance. And she can sometimes throw those kicks without setting them up, leave her head right on center line. She got dropped by Anna Elbows with a straight punch off an unset up kick. And she does have fairly fast hands. She does a good job of when she lands her jab, her straight right, she definitely can be effective, going forward. And she switches stances. She'll use a nice left hook from southpaw and then switch to orthodox, throw nice jabs. But she doesn't throw with big power. She's never gotten a KO, TKO in her career. But she's never been finished as a pro. But I have seen her dropped and wobbled by shots, and I wouldn't say she has a great chin. And Cooper has a solid double leg. She will go for takedowns in the clinch as well. She was able to take down Angela Magana and dominate her on top. And she does like to mix it up in almost all her fights. They do spend some time on the ground. On top, she's solid. She's aggressive. She lands big ground and pound. She likes to improve position. She does a good job taking out or getting the back. She can't get too over-aggressive on top, lose the position at times. And she sometimes looks like she has deep submissions locked in, and she'll just give them up. So I don't think she has great fight IQ either. And she'll attack off her back. She'll look for fast armbar, solid sweeps. But if you pass her guard, she's very vulnerable. She has heart. She'll take a beating. She won't just give up. Like, she took a beating before she got submitted by Aspen Ladd. And she'll fight to get out of submission until there's no choice but to tap, really. She really gives it her all. But all 4 of her losses are by submission. And Cooper needs to try to keep the range on this fight, keep it on her feet. And, shoot under, get well-timed takedowns at times. And she should be safe on top of Yoder. But I think that if Yoder gets on top, she is in danger, obviously. And Yoder's more comfortable with the chaos. She needs to fight at her pace to win this fight. And Cooper's going to be the better striker. She's going to have cleaner technique, faster hands. But she doesn't have big power, and I'm not sure her shots are going to be able to stop the forward pressure that Yoder brings. Yoder is the most technical fighter, but she's in there. She's making her opponents work. And she lands a few shots of her own. And I think Yoder has bigger power than Amanda Bobby Cooper. And I think Yoder's going to be looking to take this fight to the ground. She has no problem pulling guard, flopping to her back either. And she's pretty good at moving, creating scrambles on the ground. She can take the back from odd ways. And, I see Cooper is decent at being heavy on top, keeping her top position. I'm not sure if Yoder can take her down, but I see this as a very close fight. And Yoder's more of a dog, man. I think she's going to be able to find a way to get in there and pull it out. I think Cooper fades a bit. And if Yoder puts that constant pressure, she can find a good position in round 3 on the ground. I think that, she's going to be able to put Cooper away. So I'm going to go with Ashley Yoder via 3rd round submission. But, I also could see Yoder getting a decision victory there. But I just think that she's a dog, man. I think she wants it more than Amanda Bobby Cooper. And I think Amanda Bobby Cooper is potentially a little bit mentally weak. So I'm going to go with Ashley Yoder there by decision and or late submission victory. And up next, we have basically the Tough 27 finale all over again with Michael Trizano against Luis Pena. And, both these guys are on the show together. Trizano is the Tough 27 winner, and he's going to be facing Luis Pena, who is a castmate. He was probably the favorite to win the whole thing, but he had to pull out due to injury. And Trizano had a very lackluster win in his Tough finale, while Luis Pena had a brilliant performance on the same card, so Pena kind of stole the hype a little bit. And I'm sure Trizano's going to have a fire lit under him as he's coming into this matchup as a big underdog, even though he was the one who won the show, so he's a Tiger Showman guy, so he definitely has had a good camp environment. There's been a lot of guys to work with, as you saw the plethora of Tiger Showman guys on UFC 230. And Trizano's a technical striker. He has good inside and outside leg kicks to go along with a strong jab. He does a good job keeping a high volume of shots out there, just touching his opponents instead of winding up and throwing with huge power. He has a very nice check left hook, and he'll land it to stop fighters' forward motion, then circle back to the center of the cage. He has a nasty uppercut as well, great timing and accuracy on it. And he'll throw a jab leg kick combination. He really sits down on his leg kicks. He does a solid job moving, using good head movement, and trying to be a hard target at all times. He is still too flat-footed, and fighters can close the distance on him with punches or takedown attempts. But he's a composed guy out there, usually keeps the same deliberate pace all 3 rounds. And he does possess decent power, but I would say he's definitely more of a volume guy. He has 3 KO TKOs, and both fighters are undefeated, so they're going to come in with confidence. And Trizano's a solid grappler. I don't see him trying to wrestle much in this matchup, but he won't need to have a defensive wrestling on point. And he has good double leg takedowns, so I see him maybe timing those at the end of rounds. And when he takes fighters down, he's more worried about controlling the position, winning the round, than landing ground and pound or going for submissions. And he likes getting to half guard where he feels heavy. He'll land short shots. He does have 1 rear naked choke in his career, but I don't see him do much advancing or position or threatening with jiu-jitsu against higher level fighters in top position, really. He has good takedown defense, especially if he can get his back against the cage. He likes to look for guillotines or darces when fighters look to shoot in on him. And when he does get taken down, he's definitely more active off his back with his guard. He has a decent sweep. And he's never lost a fight, amateur or pro. He's 14-0. And I think Trizano's going to be looking to stay tactical, throw a lot of leg kicks. Pena stands in a very wide stance, and his front leg is there to be hit. He needs to keep his hands up. He has a tendency to hold him low, and he has been dropped on tough because of it. And he also needs to stay in the center of the cage, not let Pena back him up and take him down. And Luis Pena is probably the most popular fighter to come off that tough show. And Violent Bob Ross is a huge lightweight. He's 6'3" with a 78-inch reach. And he's training at AKA with killers, so both fighters are elite camps. And Pena's only 3-0, but he fights with the composure of a veteran, and he has a ton of upside. Pena's an intimidating presence in the octagon. He has a wide stance. He likes to make himself look big out there. He closes distance. He stalks fighters against the cage. He also is more of a fighter who likes to touch his opponents, just like Trizano. Pepper him with shots instead of putting big power in his punches. And he throws a nice jab, good straight right hand. He'll throw hooks to the body as well, good front kicks to the body, to the head. He has good lead uppercuts. His punches are very accurate. He has a nice step-in knee. He'll grab a plum, throw a knee to the head. He has very awesome forward pressure. He really makes the octagon small for his opponents, and he breaks fighters with his pace, his pressure, and he can stand flat-footed himself. Fighters are able to land longer combinations on him, but he has a very strong chin, and he looks to throw with more power in his last match against Richie Smullen, so maybe he's getting a little bit more powerful with his punches as well. And he only has one TKO finish in his fight career, and obviously he's never been finished himself. He's a good grappler. He's been training with Khabib, so his wrestling should be improving. And he likes to get fighters against the cage with his striking, get fighters thinking about his striking level change, get in double legs. He has good double legs when he gets his hands clamped and on top. He has strong ground and pound. He has good submissions. His length allows him to be very tricky on the ground. He has fast hips, good sweeps. He's able to sweep Richie Smullen in his last fight and then catch a nasty guillotine after rocking him. And he has a nice triangle, a good Kimura. He has 4 submission finishes, and he's finished all of his pro fights. I said he was 3-0 earlier. I'm sorry, he's actually 5-0. But I see Pena trying to control the center, land to the body early, slow Trizano down. And if he can get Trizano tired, he will be able to start to pick up the volume and then try to take Trizano out. And I think whoever's going forward, controlling the center, will win this fight. I think Trizano needs to throw a lot of leg kicks, push Pena back with his jab, his boxing combinations. And I think he should even look to take him down with double legs, control him on top. And Pena needs to do the exact same thing. And whoever can implement their game plan will win this match. I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I'm going to pick Trizano. I think Trizano could chop down Pena's legs. We got to get some takedowns. And if he can land his jab right hook, he can potentially land shots on Pena with his boxing too. So I'm going to go with Mike Trizano to get the upset here. And I'm going to say he wins a decision against Luis Pena. And I'm next to have Maycee Barber against Hannah Cifers. And the UFC is pretty high on this girl, Maycee Barber. She's a 20-year-old. She's training out of Factory X. So she's going to be fighting at home in Colorado. And she was supposed to fight, who is that girl? Joe Stevenson's wife, Maya Stevenson, on this card. But Maya Stevenson had to pull out. So Hannah Cifers is taking this fight on about 2 or 3 weeks' notice. But, Maycee Barber's going to be making her UFC debut. She had a dominant victory on Dana White Contender Series. And like I said, she's only 23 years old, or 20 years old. And she showed massive growth in her last fight from her previous ones. And she's going to be fighting in Colorado where she trains and where she's from. So she's going to have the crowd on her side. She's taking on the UFC newcomer and Hannah Cifers. And Cifers is taking this fight on short notice in an altitude. So that could be a huge factor. And Cifers is coming off a big win in September. She should be pumped to get her opportunity in the UFC. And she's an aggressive, come-forward striker. She has pretty solid hands. She'll throw a jab or a leg kick, but she doesn't really follow it up with anything. She does have a nice body kick, solid hooks. She'll throw a decent check left hook to the head. She has good body shots, good hooks in close. And she can get stuck on the outside and throw air at times. She isn't very fast, and she stands very upright. It makes it easier to see her strikes coming. And she pressures very heavy. She's shown the ability to break fighters. And she does have good power. She has 5 KO TKOs. And she's shown a good chin over her career. She's never been finished with strikes. But she seems to not be a very good grappler. She doesn't have a good clinch technique. She allows fighters to dig on her hooks, push her against the cage. She is pretty strong. She'll land short knees and elbows. She has solid takedown defense. She isn't a very active seeker of the takedown and not fought many girls who are wrestlers. Her upright stance, forward movement, in my opinion, make her susceptible to single and doubles. And I've seen her get taken down or get taken down really in any fights. But, she has been submitted by Jillian Robertson. I couldn't find that fight. And she isn't a submission threat. She has no submissions herself. She's shown good cardio, but she is taking this fight on short notice at altitude. Gets a cardio freak in Maycee Barber, so her cardio will really be tested. And she needs to keep this fight standing, try to box Barber up. And if she can catch her coming in with a big shot and then flurry, maybe she can overwhelm Barber and finish her. But this will be Maycee Barber's debut as well. She's fighting in her home state, and she's a girl I see the UFC potentially getting behind, pushing if she could be successful. And Barber's very aggressive. She has a nice check left hook, nice body shot. She'll go high with kicks as well. She's always putting pressure on fighters, stalking them to the cage. And her kicks are the best part of her striking game. She throws a lot of inside leg kicks, front and side kicks, to the face even, and to the body as well. She does a good job faking. She's gotten a little bit better at not lunging and getting hit with counters, but she's tenacious. She doesn't mind getting hit when she does. And she has 2 KO TKOs, but she's not a power striker. She's never been hurt herself. She's undefeated, so she's definitely going to be coming here with a lot of momentum. And Barber's grappling is the best part of her game. She loves to crash the distance with punches, get in the clinch and grind. She's good knees to the body, short shots to the head. She has good double leg takedowns. She's also good trips and body locks in the clinch. Her top game is very strong. She'll get to half guard, rain down hard elbows. She'll attack the body as well. She keeps a high volume of shots out there, and nice pressure passes. She'll unload. She'll throw punches and then pass. And she really likes to load up with big shots when she has opponents on their back. And she's very strong with her takedown defense as well. She'll turn it around, get double underhooks, get takedowns herself. And she has back-to-back ground and pound knockouts, 2 submission victories as well. So she's a finisher when it hits the ground. And she has phenomenal cardio. She's been working with a lot of great coaches for a long time. She's trained at gyms such as Rufus Sport, Team Alpha Male, and now she's doing her camp at Factory X. She also has Izzy Martinez in her corner, who's a great coach himself, a great wrestling coach. And, she's getting many different looks. She's learning different techniques from renowned coaches. And when she gets older, I'm sure she's going to find a gym and stick with it. I think it'll probably be Factory X, but right now she's gained a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge. And Barber should try to get Cypher's face from the start, walk her down with kicks, close the distance, take her down and take her out on the ground, man. And Maycee Barber is a fighter who has big ambitions. She wants to be the youngest champion in UFC history, and at 20 years old, she has a chance. And Barber's going to be much quicker, more athletic than Cypher's. She's going to have the major grappling advantage as well. And if she gets on top, I think she's going to finish Cypher's, and that's what she needs to do if she wants to be a future champion. And she's had a full camp for this fight. She already uses cardio pace as an advantage, and while Cypher's is coming on a short camp, I think that Barber is just going to be able to overwhelm Cypher's in round 1, take her down, really beat her up, and I think Cypher's is going to be severely diminished in round 2, and I think Barber's going to take her down early and finish. And the footage I've seen from Cypher's, I just haven't been very impressed. She has a decent hand, she throws to the head and the body, but she isn't powerful. That powerful. I don't think she's powerful enough to stop Barber's forward motion. And she really needs to work on her stance, her footwork. She's flat-footed. And fighters that'll walk her down, walk through her punches, I think that she's going to struggle with. And she also walks in straight lines, very tall. So I think she's going to be able to get taken down. And I think if Barber does her thing here, it won't be a tough fight for her. So I'm going to go with Maycee Barber to get the finish in the second round of this fight. And up next, you have Joseph Benavidez against Ray Borg in a very interesting fight. There's a lot of question marks about this fight where I feel like under normal circumstances I would be very high on Ray Borg in this fight. But, Borg has been dealing with a ton of problems with his newborn son, and you have to wonder how that affected his camp. He says that he's winning this fight for his son, so he has a ton of motivation, but it's also a distraction. And Joseph Benavidez, he returned from a long layoff. He lost a split decision to Sergio Pettis, and he looked old, man. I don't know if it was rusty. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to look better this time out, but definitely looked a little bit older. We'll see how he looks this time, maybe if he just got the rust off. But Ray Borg has really improved his striking over the years. If he's been training over this layoff, I expect another jump from him. And Borg's very fast. He's explosive. He's light on his feet, solid head movement. He has a very nice left hook, good uppercut. He closes the distance very quickly with punches. And he has tighter punches in the pocket than Benavidez, in my opinion. He has a nasty left hook, straight right combination. He'll throw good leg kicks. He'll throw the occasional body and head kick. But he's definitely more of a boxer on the feet. Borg will throw crazy techniques such as spinning back fists, spinning heel kicks. He will fake level changes, come over the top of the left and right hooks and overhands. He doesn't have great power. He only has 1 KO TKO, but he definitely has power for a flyweight. He's never been fished for strikes. He has a good chin. He's a tough dude. He won't be detoured by getting rocked or getting cut. And he's going to continue to press forward. And his grappling is his bread and butter. He'll work in the clinch. He does a good job landing short uppercuts, knees in the clinch. He's aggressive on the breaks. He'll land big overhands on the breaks. He'll try to throw kicks off the breaks. He's very fast with those double leg shots. He's explosive. He'll land big slams. He also has good single legs. And his best takedowns are in the center of the cage, in my opinion, but he is also a decent chain wrestler against the cage. He'll work for singles or doubles to the body lock until he can find a way to get into the mat. And he'll grind against the cage and land, short knees to the body, to the head, while looking for takedowns as well. And he also does a good job circling to the back in the clinch, getting to the back belt. And Borg is very active on top. He likes to use pressure passing. He does a good job passing right into side control. He'll also land big ground and pound when he's trying to pass guard. And Borg's always active on top. He likes to get to half guard, threaten with guillotines, arm triangles, eventually pass the mount where he wants to take the back. And when he takes the back, he has a great job of flattening opponents out, getting the rear naked choke. He has 5 rear naked chokes in his career. He has 1 Kimura as well. And his 1 loss was that crazy submission by Demetrius Johnson. And he has had a whirlwind of issues, trying to fight since then, between getting his fight canceled due to getting glass in his eyes, and the Conor McGregor bus incident, to having to pull out because of his son most recently. He's had a tough 2018. I'm sure he's going to be amped and ready to compete. And I see him coming out fast out of the chute. It's hard to know if his son problems will be a negative or positive factor. His head could be somewhere else on fight night, but it also could really will him to continue to come forward and never lose the fight if it's a tough fight. And overall, I think Borg should try to use the similar game plan to that of Henry Cejudo. Cut off the cage, close the distance with his left hook, straight right hand combo, make Benavidez pay when he's in the pocket. And I do think Borg will try to wrestle this fight. He needs to be careful with the guillotine, but if he can get Benavidez to the ground, he'll have a shot at victory, and I think he's the better overall wrestler. And Joseph Benavidez had a long win streak snapped in his most recent layoff, or his most recent fight after a long layoff. And he's going to be looking to prove he's not done yet. Benavidez is 34 years old, and especially for the smaller weight classes, father time isn't kind. And Benavidez looks slower and older against Pettis, and he's going to really need to earn his respect back with a win here. And he's a long-time Team Alpha Male product. He's now training at Extreme Couture. And this could be his second camp in Las Vegas. And Benavidez has improved his striking over the years, but to me it's still a bit awkward. He will throw a nice jab out there, a good straight left hand. He's always faking level changes. He makes himself a moving target, hard to read on the outside. Then he likes to cross the distance with a right overhand or hook combinations. And he can leave himself exposed for counters when he does that. It also makes him hard to read, and easier for him to get takedowns or land clean overhand punches and hooks to the body and head. So it makes him dangerous as well. He still can't get wide with the shots in the pocket, and Pettis was able to take advantage of that, drop him with the tight hook. And Benavidez isn't quite as fast with those big explosive movements as he used to be in the past. And it'll get him in more and more trouble now in his career if he continues to do that. And he showed a good chin over his career. He's only been finished with strikes 1 time. He was dropped in his last fight, but he was able to recover quickly, make the fight close. And he has good power himself. He has 6 KO TKOs, but the last one was in 2013. And Benavidez is a great grappler as well. He's a strong wrestler with a tricky submission game. He has a very nice double leg. He does a good job of disguising it with his overhand punches. He's extremely strong in the clinch. He has good body locks, impressive slams, very physical. His shots didn't look nearly as quick or effective against Pettis, and he was only able to land a couple takedowns, and he really couldn't hold him down or do much damage. On top, Benavidez is very active. He has nice elbows. He will look for patented Team Alpha Male guillotine. And he has strong takedown defense himself, and he's very hard to hold down. He's never been submitted. He has 8 submissions himself, but he hasn't had a finish since 2014. And Benavidez is going to need to outvolume Borg over the course of 3 rounds. I don't seem to be able to take Borg down, control him on top. I also don't think it's likely that he knocks Borg out. So I think Benavidez needs to try to dance around to the outside, leap in, land combinations, frustrate Ray Borg. And if he can land shots while making Borg miss, he can take a decision victory. But I think without the outside distractions, I would be pretty confident of Borg in this spot. Borg's a younger, more faster, explosive fighter at this stage of their careers, as well as having the better boxing and wrestling, in my opinion. And I think Borg will be able to walk Benavidez down, cut off the cage, close the distance, land his boxing combinations, get late round takedowns. And I think in the pocket, if Borg lands a clean hook, he can hurt Joseph. And if Benavidez is able to use leg kicks, fake level changes, come over the top and move and get the victory here, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think Ray Borg gets it done here. I think Ray Borg is going to win either 29-28 or 30-27. And I'm going to go with Ray Borg to get the decision victory in that one. And up next we have Raquel Pennington taking on Jermaine D. Randamie. And both of these girls, have had very tough recent runs in the UFC of late. Raquel Pennington just came back after a very long layoff. and she lost a pretty brutal fight at the hands of Amanda Nunes. You know, her corner took a lot of heat for sending her back out after she was done on the after she said she was done on the stool, and then she got finished in that next round. And she also hurt her leg very bad. She broke it, and then she also said that the first leg kick that Amanda threw hurt that leg again. So she needs to prove to herself that she can take a leg kick, win a fight, not post that injury, and that's something that you really have to take into account because if that leg kick's hurting that bad off the first kick, it's only been 6 months since that fight, so there's no way that that leg potentially can be 100% recovered. And Jermaine Randamie, you know, she's coming off a controversial championship decision over Holly Holm, and that was also marred with several shots after the bell by Randamie. And then Randamie refused to fight current 145-pound champ Chris Cyborg, relinquished the belt. She took major flack from the fans. She even got called the worst champion in UFC history, her and Nico Montano. And both fighters need a win here to prove to themselves and the world that they're still contenders, they're still legit fighters. And Raquel Pennington's going to be fighting at home in Colorado, so she should be amped up and ready to go in this one. And she's a tough, gritty girl. She's pretty well-rounded. She's a good jab, good right hook. She does a good job controlling distance, staying just on the outside of your punches. She did a great job against Miesha Tate with the jab. She was stopping Miesha's forward movement and takedown attempts. And she will add some leg and body kicks into her combination. She has a nice uppercut in close. She's very durable. When she gets hit, she likes to come forward and get it back immediately. And she needs to be in close to be effective. And she's not a big kicker. She can struggle to find her range from the outside. And she'll dig to the body with shots as well. She loves to get in wars. She definitely will take a shot to give one of her own and try to wear fighters down as the fight goes longer. And she was broken a bit in the last fight. You know, it took the first KO, TKO loss of her career. And, you know, it was unstayed in the stool between rounds. So she still did it. Or it wasn't stayed on the stool between rounds. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, you know, she didn't take like a KO shot. You know, it was a TKO. And, you know, she still has a very solid chin. She took a lot of bombs against Amanda Nunes. And Pennington likes to fight in the clinch, fight in dirty boxing range. She has good short punches, elbows, and knees. She has a good head position as well. She'll trap the wrist, throw punches with the other hand. And she likes to land hard knees to the body. She wears fighters out in the clinch. And she doesn't have great wrestling, but she's strong and gritty. She has decent double legs. She does a good job timing it in the center. And if she doesn't get the takedown, she will throw shots off the break. And I see her trying to do that in this match a lot. And on top, Pennington has solid ground and pound, but her go-to moves are chokes. She has good guillotine. She'll attack with chokes such as guillotine or bulldog chokes as well. And she's very opportunistic. She can snatch up the neck and finish a fight very quickly. She has solid takedown defense. She'll attack with the guillotine when fighters shoot in on her. And she has 4 career submissions, and she's been submitted just 1 time herself. She hasn't gotten a finish since 2015. Her last 3 wins have been via decision. And Pennington has great cardio, and in Denver where she trains, she could potentially use that as a weapon here. Pennington needs to make this fight ugly. She can't hang around on the outside for long with someone with the range striking skills of Randamie. And I see her trying to close the distance, grab the single collar, land shots to clinch, go for double legs, and just grind Randamie out. And if Pennington can get Randamie to the ground, she'll have a chance to finish the fight because Jermaine is not a great grappler. And Jermaine will be making a return after over a 1.5-year layoff. And Randamie claimed the belt in her last fight, but now she's dropping back down to 135, and she's going to be looking to make it 4 in a row. And she's one of the best Muay Thai strikers of all time for a female. She brings those skills with her in every fight. You know, she's a tall, long fighter. Great job using her reach on the feet. Very nice leg kicks, both inside and outside. And she needs to test that leg of Rocky. Really throw a lot of kicks early. And she really likes to chop down with power to leg kicks after a jab or a left hook. And she has a nice jab, very nice 1-2. Good in and out movement. She's always trying to pull fighters into her power. She's a really nice uppercut, good overhand right, and she's one of the most powerful strikers in the division. She has nasty front kicks to the body, and she will fire them to the head also. She does a great job sneaking tricky head kicks into combinations, and when they land, they have big power. She's very good defensively. She'll keep a high guard and always gauging distance. She has big power. She's finished 3 of her 7 wins via KO, TKO. She's never been finished with strikes to the feet, and her 1 TKO loss was to Nunes on the ground. And Randamie's nasty in the clinch. She's one of the better clinch fighters in the division. She has nasty knees to the body, and her head position is always right. She's able to muscle girls around. She has a nasty Muay Thai plum. She lands hard knees to the body, short elbows. She likes to use that position to fend takedowns and then do damage, and it makes fighters nervous to close the distance on her. She has never attempted a takedown in the UFC, and I doubt if she will in this one. And she's defended 86% of her takedown attempts in the UFC, so she's hard to get taken down. And she hasn't been taken down since 2013 against Amanda Nunes. And she needs to be able to keep this fight standing. She's a great chance to win, in my opinion, if she does. In the clinch, both girls are dangerous, but Randamie is better with her clinch striking. You know, she's had many years of experience there, and she's clearly the better striker at range. And she's able to use her front kicks, her leg kicks, as well as her jab and her right hand to control distance and strike from the outside. It should be an easy night for her. And Rocky Pennington has seemed to only defeat girls who are grapplers in her career. She's defeated Kim Couture, Sarah Moras, Tanya Evinger, Jessamine Duke, Roxanne Modafferi, Ashley Evans-Smith, Jessica Andrade, Misha Tate, all wrestling-based fighters, and her best wins over strikers come over Elizabeth Phillips in a split decision victory over Beth Correa. So, I mean, she definitely hasn't fared very well against strikers over her career. She had that loss to Holly Holm. And Jermaine Randamie just needs to avoid getting grounded in this match or getting tired and finish late. And if she can control the range, make Pennington pay for being in the clinch, she should be dominant here. And I am going to pick Jermaine Randamie be at 30-27 or 29-28 with Raquel winning the third round. But I'm going to go with Jermaine to get it done in that fight. And then up next we have Donald Cerrone against Mike Perry. And kind of a grudge match, you know, both these, not really between the fighters, but between the camps, you know. But this one I call a fucking fight, though. It has all the elements, you know, two characters who bring something special inside and outside the cage. Cowboy Cerrone's been one of the baddest dudes in MMA for over a decade now, and he's a tough test here against Platinum Perry, you know. Mike Perry's a wild man. He's always trying to intimidate his opponents, pre-fight and in the cage. There hasn't been much trash talk between the fighters in this fight, but there's a lot of drama. You know, Donald Cerrone's a longtime staple of Jackson Week, one of the original guys who built the gym, built the brand, and Mike Perry only just switched camps there recently. I think he's only had one camp there, but in an odd turn of events, you know, the gym decided to keep Perry, kick Cowboy out of the gym. Cowboy's now training at his ranch, the BMF Ranch, and Perry's trained with his old coaches at Jackson Week, and there's been a lot said about how Jackson Week's going downhill, and Cowboy, I'm sure, is going to be motivated to win and stick a big middle finger to everyone in the camp. But Donald Cerrone's one of the best fighters in the UFC to never win a belt, and in the past he would be a sizable favorite against a fighter like Mike Perry, but he's getting older. He now comes in as the underdog, and he's lost 4 of his 5 fights. He needs a win here to jumpstart his career. And he actually had a better showing than I expected. His last fight, he pushed Leon Edwards to 5 rounds. It's a competitive main event. Cerrone's in his home state. He's going to have the crowd firmly on his side. And Cerrone needs to be the one going forward here. You know, he can't let Mike Perry control the distance. He can't let Mike Perry walk him down. Because if Mike Perry starts walking him down, starts throwing his big shots, that's where it seems like Donald Cerrone always seems to get out of sorts. You know, he can't handle that forward pressure of fighters sometimes, and that's where Mike Perry's really going to eat him up if he can close the distance, land those hooks on the inside. Cerrone needs to be the one controlling distance with his kicking game. You know, keeping him at the end of his kicks with that front kick to the body, front kick to the face, those high kicks, and just using that movement, staying in the center of the cage, and walking down Mike Perry, and even potentially trying to take Mike Perry down. And, you know, I've heard stories that he took Mike Perry down, submitted him a few times in training. And, you know, if he was able to do that, maybe that's what he thinks he's going to do here. And that's his path to victory. But, you know, Mike Perry's a big, bruising guy, man. And I don't think 170 is potentially the right weight class for Cowboy, you know. And, man, I don't know. This is a tough fight for me to pick because I think skill-wise, Cerrone's the much better fighter, man. I really do. I think that he's still the much better fighter with his skill set. But yeah, I'm going to go with Mike Perry, man. I'm going to go with Mike Perry by second round knockout. I think that Cerrone's just going to struggle with that forward pressure, man. And I think that Mike Perry's going to walk him down. And I think he's going to find a shot and finish him. So I'm going to go with Mike Perry by second round knockout. But I would not be surprised at all if Cowboy was able to pull that one out there. And up next, you know, we have Chan Sung Jung against Yair Rodriguez. And this fight has all potential to be an epic war. You know, Chan Sung Jung is a warrior. He'll continue to walk through shots to give his own. And Yair fights like a fucking video game character. I mean, it's going to be crazy. And Jung's very wild with big power. He can end the fight with one punch. You know, Zombie took 4 years off from military duty, and then he returned. He had a great first-round knockout at Dennis Bermudez. But then he took over a year and a half off again, so he's taking a lot of layoffs. But he looks fantastic from the pictures I've seen on social media, in fantastic shape. And he has a nasty jab. He throws it very stiff. He likes to throw wide hooks to close the distance and get in a brawl where he's very dangerous. He likes to counter with straight punches, throw the 1-2 when fighters close the distance on him. He has nasty uppercuts. He'll throw 4 or 5 in a row at close range when he sees the openings. And he has a strong left hook, and it's one of his more powerful punches. When he stalks opponents to the cage, he likes to throw flying knees that unload with punching combinations to the body and to the head. He has very good cardio. He doesn't seem to get tired. He loves to throw down in the pocket. So opponents have to trade with him to back him off. And his defense is very bad. He really just disregards it. He holds his hands low, doesn't really feint much while throwing. Danger strikes that are easy to counter. He needs to be careful not to get caught with a kick in this fight or get knocked out. He has only been finished one time besides the injury versus Aldo, and it was a knockout head kick by George Roop. But he has 4 knockouts himself. He's very dangerous, especially in a 5-round fight. He's a great grappler, man. He has an awesome body lock clinch. He's very nice with the strips in the clinch as well. He's very good at catching kicks, taking fighters down off him. He needs to do that in this fight, try to stymie the kicking game of Rodriguez a bit. On top, Jung has nasty ground and pound elbows. He does a great job getting posture, rated blows. His jiu-jitsu is incredible, man. He's able to transition very smoothly while on top. He's looking for chokes and submissions. He got a nasty Darce choke against Dustin Poirier in their fight. He's gotten a twister in the UFC as well. He's very good off his back. He's extremely active with triangles, with arm bars. His takedown defense is very good. He has a great sprawl. He'll circle to the back, try to get to the back off takedown attempts. He has 8 submission victories himself. He's never been submitted. And Zombie needs to make this a close range fight. He needs to get inside, land his punches, get Rodriguez against the fence, and they should also look to take down Yair Rodriguez's exploit what Frankie Edgar did in their fight. And Yair Rodriguez is finally making his return after a long layoff in a dispute with the UFC. He was cut, he came back, and he's still one of the most dynamic strikers and one of the most fun fighters to watch in MMA. He has strong low leg kicks, and I think he needs to use those circle off to stop the forward motion of Chan Sung Jung. He also throws oblique kicks to the knee, front kicks to the body. And he has a nice spinning back kick to the body and to the head. And he isn't a great boxer, but he's a warrior. He'll sit down. He'll trade with you on the inside. He likes to throw a check left hook, straight right hand. He has a nice spinning back fist at close range. He is very dangerous, with his kicks especially. He can finish the fight quickly. He has 4 KO TKOs. He's been finished twice with strikes. And he needs to make this an outside fight. He needs to move, throw leg kicks to make Zombie reset on his forward motion and then try to find a finishing shot as Zombie closes the distance in the later rounds. And Rodriguez is a decent wrestler. He's good at timing double legs, but I see him using anti-wrestling in this fight, if anything. And Rodriguez is good in the clinch. He has good trip takedowns. He's good defensively in the clinch. He didn't have good takedown defense when Edgar got in on his legs, and he wasn't able to threaten from his back. He just got beat up. But he usually does have an active guard. He'll throw up triangles or arm bars. But if he gets taken out by Chan Sung Jung, I think he'll be in trouble. And he needs to avoid getting the fight taken to the ground. He has 3 submissions himself. He's never been submitted, but Zombie's definitely more pedigree down there. And I'm going to go with Korean Zombie here. I think he's going to be able to close the distance, get this fight to the ground, and submit it, man. Zombie's been training hard for this fight. He's been on a full camp. Yair's taking this on short notice. Zombie has big power with his punches, and even though he's a good tactical boxer, I think when he closes distance, he can hurt Rodriguez with punches. And I also think if he catches kicks, he can take him down. And I just have more faith over 5 rounds that Chan Sung Jung's going to continue to go forward. He's going to pressure. He's going to force Yair to fight. He's going to get him on that back foot. And I think he's going to be able to get the win here. So I'm going to go with Chan Sung Jung to get the victory over Yair Rodriguez via 3rd round submission. But that's a very close fight. That's a fight that I would probably stay away from. And it's probably a dog or pass fight with Yair Rodriguez being the dog. But for the parlay of the week this week, I'm going to go with, I'm going to give you guys the parlay of the week. I'll say Mark Delarosa and Maycee Barber. And another parlay of the week that I think could be potentially very good as well is Devontae Smith and Maycee Barber. I think that's also a parlay that could be potentially very profitable. I think if you trust Ray Borg, you think that he's had a good training camp. I think that he's a good bet as well as Jermaine de Randamie. Donald Cerrone against Mike Perry inside the distance. Chan Sung Jung here. Rodriguez inside the distance. I think Michael Trizano is a good upset pick. Maybe picking Ashley Yoder 3rd round submission. I mean, I'm kind of done with betting props for the year. I kind of had a bad run with props, so, but that could potentially be a good one. I do think Bobby Moffett's a good bet. I have a bet on Bobby Moffett as plus money actually. So yeah, I think there's opportunities on this card. Obviously, Dami Ramos should get it done against John Gunther, and yeah, so there's opportunities on this card, and I would say my most confident pick of the week, I would say Mark Delarosa, and for the parlay of the week, like I said, Mark Delarosa and Maycee Barber. And thanks for watching, guys. We're going to be back next week. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of UFC 230. Let me know what you think of this card, even if what you think of next week's card. Advice, whatever you want. And I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I missed a couple people's comments last week. I saw, where someone asked me about a play. I wasn't able to get back to it fast enough, which I kind of felt bad about. But I'll definitely try to do a better job about that this week and get back to all you guys. And just make sure to leave your comments to keep coming back. Definitely subscribe. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thanks a lot. And thanks for watching. Hopefully we can cast these bets again on Saturday.